Once upon a time there lived in a certain village a little country girl, the prettiest country girl who was ever seen. Her mother was excessively fond of her, and her grandmother doted on her still more. This good woman had a little Red Riding Hood made for her. It suited the girl so extremely well that everybody called her Little Red Riding Hood. One day, her mother, having made some cakes, said to her, "Go, my dear, and see how your grandmother is doing, for I hear she has been very ill. Take her a cake and this little pot of butter." Little Red Riding Hood set out immediately to go to her mother, who lived in another village. As she was going through the wood, she met a wolf, who had a very great mind to eat her up, but he dared not because of some woodcutters working nearby in the forest. He asked her where she was going. The poor child, who did not know that it was dangerous to stay and talk to a wolf, said to him, "I am going to see my grandmother and carry her a cake and a little pot of butter from my mother."
"Does she live far off?"
"Oh, I say, it is beyond that mill you see there at the first house in the village."
"Well, I'll go and see her too. I'll go this way and you'll go that, and we shall see who shall get there first." The wolf ran as fast as he could, and the little girl took a roundabout path. The wolf ran as fast as he could, and Little Red Riding Hood entertained herself by gathering nuts and running after butterflies, and gathering bouquets of little flowers. It was not long before the wolf arrived at the old woman's house. He knocked at the door. Tap, tap.
"Who's there?"
"Your grandchild, Little Red Riding Hood," replied the wolf, counterfeiting her voice,
"who has brought you a cake and a little pot of butter sent from mother."
The good grandmother, who was in bed because she was somewhat ill, cried out,
"Pull the bobbin and the latch will go up."
The wolf pulled the bobbin, and the door opened. He immediately fell upon the good woman and ate her up in a moment. "Ah! Rah, 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 rah!" For it had been more than 3 days since he had eaten. Rah, 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 rah. He then shut the door and got into the grandmother's bed, expecting Little Red Riding Hood, who came some time afterwards and knocked at the door. Tap, tap. "Who's there?" Little Red Riding Hood, hearing the big voice of the wolf, was at first afraid, but believing her grandmother had a cold and was hoarse, answered, "It's your grandchild, Little Red Riding Hood, who has brought you a cake and a little pot of butter. Mother sent for you." The wolf cried out to her, softening his voice as much as he could, "Pull the bobbin and the latch will go up." Little Red Riding pulled the bobbin and the door opened. The wolf, seeing her come in, said to her, hiding himself under the bedclothes, "Put the cake and the little pot of butter upon the stool and come get into bed with me." Little Red Riding Hood took off her clothes and got into bed. She was greatly amazed to see how her grandmother looked in her nightclothes, and said to her, "Grandmother, what big arms you have!" "All the better to hug you with, my dear." "Grandmother, what big legs you have!" "All the better to run with, my child." "Grandmother, what big ears you have!" "All the better to hear you with, my child." "Grandmother, what big eyes you have!" "All the better to see you with, my child." "Grandmother, what big teeth you've got!" "All the better to eat you up with. Rah, 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 rah." In saying these words, the wicked wolf fell upon Little Red Riding Hood and ate her up. Now, a good woodsman, dun, 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 was walking through the forest, and he said to himself, "Why, what loud snoring!"
So he knocked at the door, but no one answered. And when he came in, he found not grandmother nor Little Red Riding Hood, but the wolf in bed. So running inside, he axed him open, rah, 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 and out came grandmother and Little Red Riding Hood. They were eternally grateful to the woodsman, and said that they would bake him many cakes and fill him with as much homemade butter as he could eat. The end. This morning, Ms. January Irigary will be speaking with the characters of Little Red Riding Hood about their parts and their feeling on the story. Good morning! My name's January Irigary, and I am here to talk to the cast of Little Red Riding Hood. This afternoon, we're going to be starting with the woodcutter. Come out here, Mr. Woodcutter. Well, hello there. Now, Mr. Woodcutter, what were your thoughts on your part? I loved it. I really think women need saving, and men are there to do that. It teaches a very valuable lesson to impressionable youngsters who think they can go talking to anyone. Do you think there will always be a woodsman to protect young women? I believe that our government and our military and police force are the woodcutters of the 21st century, and those people should most definitely be men. Yes. So, you side with Pearl? Of course. Well, that's enough with you now. Bye. Well, thanks for having me. See you later. Vote Bush. Well, that was the woodcutter speaking on his feelings about the story, but let's get a different view of the male perspective from the wolf, who will be out here any moment now. Here he is. Hello. Well, Mr. Wolf, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. What did you think of your part? I mean, as an animal, I feel invigorated. I get to get the humans, but I'm being portrayed as a male, which is seemingly sexist. Perrault refers to me as him and he, and that feels really limiting. I don't gender identify, and I really believe that a smart, beautiful young woman like Little Red would be able to outsmart a simple male wolf. And I know Grandma, even though she might be sick, wouldn't allow for a man to just eat her up. She would stand her ground. What do you feel like the theme portrays? I actually took a look at what Mr. Charlie wrote and about the moral of the theme, and if you let me get it here for a second, well, here we go. He stated, the moral of the story is that children, especially attractive females or well-bred young ladies, should never talk to strangers. For if they should do so, they may well provide dinner for a wolf. I say wolf, but there are various kinds of wolves. There are also those who are charming, quiet, polite, unassuming, complacent, and sweet, who pursue young women at home and in the streets, and unfortunately, it is these gentle wolves who are the most dangerous ones of all. Well, that's quite a moral. I really don't like it. I don't appreciate how he targets men in the male, not even human, to have more power than women. It's really not all right. He believes that just a mere animal could overtake a woman because women are at the bottom of the food chain or any sort of hierarchy, and that's not all right with me. I think that I really appreciate your words, and I can really see that you're coming from a good space. Thank you. Yeah, I'm just really not okay with the whole male thing. It's seemingly wrong, and I feel like I'm repeating myself, but it's not okay. So how would you change the story then? First of all, I don't see how this could happen. A little girl, no matter what age, if she can walk to the next village over and would be able to fend off strangers, I would like to see her and Grandma put up a fight. So are you condoning violence? If it's for self-protection, certainly. I think first there needs to be some discursive interaction between the two parties, and if this wolf still wanted to get them and eat them after a dialogue, then they should put up a fight. Well, Wolf, after talking to the woodcutter, we really appreciate what you have to say, and it's been really nice chatting with you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Have a lovely day, Miss Irigary. Bye, Sir Wolf. Now, at the very end of the show, we'd like to finish up with Little Red herself and her feelings about her part. Hello. Hi. Hello, Little Red. How are you? I'm doing well, thank you for asking. What did you think of your part? I thought it was really limiting. I think that the ending is a load of shit. First of all, no woodsman is going to make it all better once I've been eaten. And secondly, I think that if that was the case, I would want to see a more circular ending. What would that look like to you? If the wolf did get us up and eat us up first, I would like to get him after and eat him. What exactly do you mean? That doesn't make sense to me. Well, what I'm saying is I'd like to see it more circular. It seems very continual to me, and I'd like to see it that at the end, the wolf would get cut out by the woodsman, and then we would eat the wolf, and it would be a continual process, as life is. It's not a straight line. It's not so linear. Do you understand? I very much so understand. But do you feel like there's a valid moral to the story? I really don't. I think it teaches young women to depend on the imaginary prince. He doesn't exist, and he shouldn't. Every individual has equal power, and just because men are portrayed in this perfect light in fairy tales, it teaches girls to expect perfect and everything from men. That is not all right. I completely agree, Little Red, but sadly we're out of time. If you have any further questions on this reading of the text or the interviews, please feel free to email me at jcolemanjones@soka.edu. It was very nice talking to you, Little Red. Very nice speaking with you as well, Miss Irigary. Thank you for joining us. Bye!